slides in about 20 minutes, and then use the remaining time to answer questions. So my goal for today is to briefly introduce you to recent legislation that has been passed as a result of our current pandemic situation with COVID-19. My focus will be primarily on financial topics that I believe may be directly applicable to you and your business. Throughout this presentation, I've tried to insert web links that will take you directly to the original source material. Since I have such a short amount of time with you today, my hope is that as I'm introducing topics to you, and one or more of those topics are applicable to your business, then you can spend time on your own, delving more deeply into the details. So first, let me start off by introducing myself. I am Todd Restel, and I serve as our company's Chief Financial Officer, which would include First Supply, Gerhard's Kitchen, Bath and Lighting stores, and our Kohler Signature stores. If you want to reach out to me after this discussion, my direct contact information will be on the last slide. Today, my focus is going to be on summarizing some of the key financial aspects of the CARES Act. The CARES Act stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. That's the term you'll hear in the news frequently. So I am starting with a few programs that provide funding to businesses impacted by COVID-19. I believe that many people on this call will be eligible to apply for these programs. The goal of these programs is basically to get your cash as quickly as you can. So the first program is the Paycheck Protection Program. This Paycheck Protection Program is designed to help small businesses keep workers on the payroll. If you keep employees on the payroll for 8 weeks and spend 75% of those funds on actual payroll, the Small Business Administration, or SBA, will work with you to forgive the loan. Lenders began processing these loans actually this weekend. While the program is being run by the SBA, the actual application process is through the banking system. So many banks and credit unions are participating in this process. I would suggest starting with a bank with whom you already have a relationship. In general, this PPP program is for small businesses with less than 500 employees. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed people are eligible for this PPP loan. I mentioned a minute ago that the loan is forgivable. It's really important to note that the forgiveness aspect of this loan requires you to retain the employees and maintain salary levels. If for some reason you utilize this program and then had to fire these employees in a few months, you would not be eligible for this loan to be forgiven. So obviously, if you're not doing well enough to retain your employees, it might be difficult to repay this loan. Therefore, you should be thoughtful before you head into this program. And just one other comment about this, there is a feeling that there's limited funds on this, and the application process is open. So if this looks like it may be applicable to you, I would suggest you get on this as quickly as you can, and even do the application process today. So this slide, actually, if you're looking at it, it has the links directly to the SBA website. The website will provide a lot more data, including the application. The application is pretty simple. It's only 2 pages long. And as a reminder, the application will actually be submitted directly to the bank, not the SBA. So the bank that you end up doing this with may have a slightly different application than what's on here, but it should be pretty quick. Again, I would encourage you to act quickly on this, as the funds will be limited. The next program under the CARES Act that I want to discuss is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Emergency Advance, or EIDL, as you'll hear it in the news. This program is, again, for small businesses and is designed to get owners an immediate cash advance of up to $10,000 in a matter of days. This slide has the links to the SBA website. The website will provide a lot more data around this, including the application. And do note that this application is actually made directly to the SBA, not your banking partner. Of all the slides I'm going to go over, this one may not be applicable to everybody on the phone call. This is called the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program, and it's for small businesses that are already in a relationship with the SBA. So this program is designed to get you $25,000 of cash right away. If you feel this program is applicable to you, I have embedded the web links into this presentation so that you can take a look at that. Similar to the last slide, if you already happen to have an SBA loan, you may be eligible for debt relief on your existing loan through September 2020. Again, if you feel this program is applicable to you, I've embedded the web link in this presentation. And just as a reminder, we are going to post this presentation on our website, so don't worry about trying to copy down these website addresses. They'll be available soon this afternoon. Up to this point, the focus of my talk has been on the CARES Act. I do want to spend just a few minutes on the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, or as you'll hear it in the news, the FFCRA. And this program is being directed through the Department of Labor and is applicable to companies with less than 500 employees. So my assumption is that this will be applicable to most of the people on this phone call. This act mandates paid sick leave, a new Family and Medical Leave Act benefits, and unemployment benefits. So I will tell you, if you have fewer than 50 employees, you may be eligible for an exception to these rules. I'm actually going to end my talk on this topic right here because our staff attorney, Brittany Corneo, is going to provide a full webinar on this topic on Thursday, April 9th. And again, that topic will be available for people to listen to live and will also be recorded and put on our website. Meanwhile, I have included the links to the DOL website so that you can review the guidance ahead of that phone call and also be able to access the new required human resources posters that most businesses will be required to put up on site. This slide that's up right now, if you can view it, depicts the financial implications from the implementation requirements under the new FFCRA rules. Essentially, the IRS is going to let companies use payroll tax credits to offset the cost of offering those new benefits that I just went over just a couple seconds ago. And again, I know this is a lot of information in a pretty short amount of time, so just keep in mind that all of this will be up on our website on firstsupply.com. So one thing, that I'm sure everybody has heard in the news is that there's some stimulus rebates consisting of a $1,200 tax credit that will be issued within the next few weeks. One thing that the press, for some reason, I just haven't heard much about this, that $1,200 is actually being treated as an advance of your 2020 tax credit. So just keep that in mind. I'm surprised that that's not been discussed more in the news. This next slide talks about employee retention credit, and this credit is really designed for all companies that have lost more than 50% of their revenue related to COVID-19, and whether that's because the government shut you down or you're just not doing the volume of business that you've done. Most of the information I've seen around this specific credit has been on law firm websites. I haven't seen a whole lot about it in other places. If you need more information on it, get in touch with me. And again, my contact information is on the last slide, and I can direct you to where you can get some additional information. I am optimistic that because our industry has largely been deemed essential that this situation will not be applicable to most of you. This next slide, a payroll tax delay. The CARES Act is allowing employers to delay payment of the employer's portion of the Social Security payroll taxes. So really what they're going to do is allow you to pay 50% of that delayed payment in December 2021, and the other 50% will be due in December 2022. And if you are picking up on the trends of all of these, basically they're worried that people are going to run out of cash, so they're really trying to, put out a whole bunch of programs to get you cash on an immediate business so that you can continue operating. The next slide, for those of you who are able to help, this is just a note that they are allowing, the IRS is allowing for some additional charitable contributions in 2020, both on the individual level and at the corporate level. So I am now on slide 20. If you have net operating losses, or sometimes your accountants will refer to them as NOLs, from 2018, 2019, or this year, you can actually take those NOLs and apply them back to your prior tax returns going back 5 years. And so if you do have those NOLs and you can apply them to prior years by filling out appropriate tax forms, you'll be able to get that cash so that you can use it right away. You may be aware a couple years ago that the IRS limited the amount of interest expense deductions that you could take. The CARES Act increases the amount of interest that is deductible for 2019 and 2020. So I'm going to guess that is applicable to many of the people on this phone call. Slide 22. So the CARES Act is also allowing you to get a refund if you paid corporate alternative minimum taxes in 2018 and 2019. Again, some of these you're actually going to have to go to the IRS and fill out the forms, and I know your accountants will be able to help you with this. I actually haven't seen many of these forms yet. This has all happened pretty quickly, so some of those forms will still be in process. From a state perspective, so everything up to this point has largely been focused around the federal aspects. So with our company, we're in Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. All of those states have extended certain income tax payments from April 15th, which is traditional tax day, to various dates in July 2020. Some of the states, the due date is July 15th, others is July 31st. But do note, you still have to do the actual filing. You just don't have to send in the money. So when you're seeing this in the news, just be aware that you do still need to actually make the tax filings. So this may or may not be applicable to everybody on the phone, but the CARES Act is also allowing borrowers with a federally backed mortgage who are experiencing COVID-19 related financial hardships to request a forbearance for 2 months. And then it also allows for the possibility of another 4 months forbearance. The lenders, if you take advantage of this, would be required to report your debt status as current during this period. So the guidance on this topic states that you really need to figure out who services your mortgage and then contact them directly. And this is something you would do directly with that lender. And again, if you're not familiar with forbearance, that's just saying, hey, they're going to give you give you a little bit of extra time to make those mortgage payments. Could be a nice option for people on the phone. This next slide talks about unemployment benefits, and again, this has more to do with what our staff attorney, Brittany Corneo, is going to be doing on Thursday, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this slide, and this is packed with details. And again, for those on the phone, this slide primarily focuses on the state of Wisconsin, but I wanted to be sure that you are aware of the new benefits that are available in the event that you're terminating employees. This is one of those slides that you can revisit at a later time if needed, and there's a lot of information out there, and depending on if the individual, their unemployment benefits will depend whether they individually and personally have the COVID-19 diagnosis or if they're caring for somebody that has received that diagnosis. So some people on the phone call might have retirement plans. The CARES Act did make changes to the retirement plan rules. Participants can now take distributions up to $100,000 without the 10% additional tax for early distributions. If you do have retirement plans, your plan administrator should be up to speed on all of these changes. And this upcoming slide deals with a similar topic, except it's related specifically to defined benefit plans. I don't suspect that many of you have these defined benefit plans, but if you do, be sure to have a conversation with your plan administrator. Employers are being allowed to delay contributions into these plans for the year. And again, if you have questions on that, talk to your plan administrator, and I'd be happy to send you additional information as well. Getting towards the end of my presentation before I open the line up for questions, the CARES Act has something called work share benefits. I will tell you, I personally have very limited experience with this type of program. I am aware that states have to approve a work share program. So if you plan to go down this route and adopt something like this, it's not going to be immediate. It's something that you're going to have to work with your states with. I do have two final notes for you. What we've found is that communication is absolutely critical in these times. Communicate frequently with your critical stakeholders to keep them informed. That could be your employees, your customers, your vendor partners, your banks. Just be sure to communicate. Let them know what's going on with you. And as any time whenever there's a crisis, fraudsters tend to come out of the woodwork to try to take advantage of the situation. So just be aware, have your fraud awareness senses perked up for this upcoming period, whether it be emails, phone calls, or any other ways that fraudsters will try to take advantage of the situation and steal your money. So this is actually, I've come to the very last slide. Feel free to contact me directly with questions or comments. Again, I have my name, my phone number, my direct dial, and email address on here, and also our website, firstsupply.com. Again, thank you everyone for attending. We appreciate your continued support of our business throughout this tough time, and I hope again that you're well. And this will be posted, and again, feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you, everyone. Bye.